I wandered over to Trump Tower and there was a mob scene there. Outside, people waiting for Donald Trump to sign his new book, the one with the ugly picture, according to him. Inside, all these cameras and journalists at a press conference. I had to fight my way through. I got to ask him 3 questions. And it was really sort of the Donald unplugged. I mean, he unloaded on everybody. Nobody was safe. There was, of course, Ben Carson. It's not really his thing to negotiate with the Chinese. Marco Rubio, who Trump always says sweats a lot. You ought to look at his credit card problems. He's a disaster. And plus, Marco Rubio is overrated, says Trump. And let's see, who else? Jeb Bush, the whole low energy thing. And then he went after CNBC and moderator John Harwood, saying that Harwood, is probably finished as a credible reporter. Well, that's a considerable overstatement. And a lot of these lines about making America great and America doesn't win anymore and how he's going to change. I've heard before, you've heard before. But as I was sitting there watching it, sitting about 7 or 8 feet from the Donald, I was just struck by how good he is at doing the shtick. In other words, it's entertaining, it's funny, it's exasperating, it's hard to turn off. I didn't think it would make that much news. I mean, yes, there were a lot of cameras there, but I figured not a lot of hard news here. Trump talking about his new book, certainly, but nothing jumped out at me as being something that was so tantalizing or fresh that it would make big headlines. Well, I later turned out that much of it had been carried live on Fox. More of it had been carried live on CNN. It had been live streamed on C-SPAN. And one of the reasons I knew this was because at this news conference, Trump said something nice about me, said I had been fair to him. And so everybody in the media industrial complex either decided to talk to me about that or make fun of me, whatever. Okay, that's fine. But here's the thing. When he does this, even after he's been doing this, he's been on TV constantly, and it was on Tuesday that I'd actually seen him earlier at Fox. He was on Fox and Friends, and then he did Hannity later, did a bunch of interviews. Yesterday he was on CNN with Chris Cuomo. For all that we have become accustomed to the Trump show, the Trump reality show, he is still driving the campaign conversation. Rubio is asked to respond. Jeb is asked to respond. Carson is asked to respond. And even if they kind of brush off the Donald's attacks or make their own attacks, they are playing on his turf. And this is the genius, and some people find it exasperating, of Donald Trump. He says he's a counterpuncher, but he's sure throwing a lot of punches these days, is that he knows how to do this in a way that the television cameras can't break away, in a way that will bring ratings to the shows that carry this, in a way that will bring clicks to the websites that carry this. And he can still do the same thing he did on day one, and he can make news. You would think maybe by now that we would be tired of him making news. He talks about polls. Yes, he's slipped in a couple of national polls, but did he tell you he's ahead in the latest Iowa poll and he's killing it in Florida? Donald Trump is a compelling media personality and political personality, and as long as he still has the nation's attention and the media's attention, this campaign, this 2016 presidential campaign, is going to continue to revolve around him.